So this evening,
I'm sorry. I had the mute button on. I'm sorry. It's my fault.
you realize this man had me muted. This man had me
Hey,
muted,
she was sounding good
and I
anybody.
was singing so good. I was so excited, thinking, "There, you're hearing me." Okay, let me try it again. Good evening, and welcome again to Couples Talk. I thank you so much for joining us for another episode. And as we go into another healthy discussion this evening, I hope that you enjoy the message that we have to share this evening. So today we're going to talk about something slightly different from what we've been discussing over the past months. We're going to be talking about balancing career and parenting in marriage. Balancing career and parenting in marriage. Now, you might be wondering, why did we diversify to this particular topic? But over the past year, especially, we have seen how couples with children have been struggling, going through a lot of tension and frustration in terms of dealing and balancing with the stresses of COVID, balancing the work life, balancing not working, and balancing with the home and with children. So we thought it best to go into this particular topic and at least highlight some different issues and at least also highlight suggestions that can be given to persons who may be viewing us this evening. And to help us have this discussion, we have a lovely couple with us. So we're going to bring them on. Yes, we're going to bring them on so they can see and you can see them. So good evening and welcome to the Davis couple, the Davis family, the Davis, happy bunch, So you guys, how are you doing this evening?
Hi, good evening. We're fine.
Very good.
Well, I'm someone that also have to manage staff, and one of the challenge I've had over the last several months is trying to work out with my staff time for them to be able to take care of the kids while one person is able to work. And it's been a challenge we've had to face at work, where sometime as it's not that a staff is not willing to work, but the other parent might not be available to look at the kids. And that's happening different variations. And so we wanted to tap into this, and we wanted to bring in someone, a parent couple, you guys working, you guys, so well, I want you to tell us about your family situation and your work situation. So let me have you do that introduction.
Well, hi, good evening, everyone. I am Hadassah Finley Davis, and this is my husband, Darren Davis. Um, I am an elementary teacher at the moment. We have two little boys, a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old. My husband works with the Ministry of Sports, so we're pretty much very busy going family. We're always on the go. So, what else would you like us to say? You're still
I
muted,
mean,
Chef.
again, I mean, I'm having
I don't
I'm
know what's
having
going on with him today, but
I
he keeps muting me. He keeps muting me, and I'm talking with such energy, and then to realize that no one is hearing me.
Well, we see the energy, so that's okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I hope more viewers are also seeing the energy. I'm really excited. Oh my goodness. Yes, as I was saying, we're going to jump straight into the questions and discussions. And the first
Okay.
question we have for them this evening is, what are some common challenges faced by working parents? So you being the working parent, what are some of the common challenges that you face? I hope the question makes sense to you. What are some common challenges that you face? You're both working, you both have the boys to take care of, and even with COVID, how did it work? What were some common challenges you guys face?
Well, let me take the one that everybody else seems to be having around this time. Um, Feeding them. That was the biggest challenge because we didn't realize how much that would have changed over the time. It seemed like they jumped from eating, let's say, 3 square meals to eating 50 or let's say non-stop. So it was like trying to make sure that at all points in time you had enough there to sustain a never-ending appetite.
That's true.
Good.
They're eating
Well, okay. I'm
24/7.
sure some other viewers might be able to attest to such, having to deal
Mm-hmm.
with the children, having them home, and realize you became more broke having them home, and you realize school feeding was a blessing. School was actually a blessing when you were forced
Yeah,
to go
that's true.
back out.
How have you managed balancing your time as in relates to working and then still the parenting responsibilities? Because I know both of you work. How are you able to balance that relationship between working and then still taking care of the kids?
Well, I think my field of work, I could balance my time then. So
Okay.
coming to school, when school was open, I had to rush home to be there with the little one, especially to have him focus in school. Because if you're not there, it's way out of this world. He wouldn't sit there comfortable and quiet. So I think it was easy for me to balance because of my work schedule. But when school is on a normal day, it's much easier for mommy, for myself, and everyone else, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
So,
for me, it was a little bit more difficult because with them being online in school and me being online in school, we had three different classes running at the same time. And for me to be able to jump from my class into theirs was a little bit more tricky. So that balance kind of went out the window until after school, where I could now take the time to try to go back through whatever they had to do, their homework or whatever it is, so that we could now see. So it was a little bit more tricky for me to get that done.
okay. So basically, I like the fact that you guys had an arrangement. You were able to share the duties, assist each other. So it wasn't as overwhelming for you having to deal with both the boys at the same time. I know for some persons they're watching, they might be thinking I'm not that fortunate, but I think half many times this involves some form of discussion and some form of communication, which we will get to later on in terms of our discussion this evening. But it's just for you to highlight and see that how each couple have their challenges, but it's how you could learn from each other in terms of balancing both your time with each other and family life and work. So our second question this evening is there a daily routine to manage the household? So now we're talking about household duties, family life, working, how does that work for you? And even if while you're saying it, you could even make some suggestions to someone else too. There's always, there's disorganized chaos or chaos in this.
I think that's about it. Organized chaos.
Mm-hmm.
It's just making sure that everyone is staying alive. That's I know it sounds
Because
funny,
we
but
don't really have a routine to manage the household. We just go at the day's pace because how the COVID is
things
running now,
change
things
every
change
day.
a lot every day. Because one minute you could be free to do whatever you want, and the next minute, no, you have to get yourself up and do whatever has to be done. And with the boys that we have that eat a lot, oh boy, that's the routine. That I think that's the only routine we have to feed them all day.
And so for those that are on, if you have a question that you would just want to pose, in terms of challenges that you might be facing in terms of parenting and working, do share it in the comments that we could involve in the conversation. So the next question that we want to ask is each partner assigned specific roles in the home, and how is that determined? How do you determine who's doing what I know you said there's some level of organized chaos, but even within that chaos, how do you determine who gets up and maybe prepare breakfast, or who might be doing, so how do you work out that type of routine, so to speak? Don't throw Darren under the bus, okay?
Nobody see when you ask about the breakfast thing now.
Hmm.
I had to look at him because anybody who knows me well know I don't do mornings.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that part of it is normally the big man job, fix it up. When it's school time, yes, I would get up, but now as we're kind of on relax mode, I don't really like the morning thing, honestly. So, but beside for that, we don't really have like, okay, this is Darren's job or this is Hadassah's job or whatever like that. It is the jobs need to be done,
We get it done.
we get it done. There is not that I'm a girl and I'm supposed to do all the housework and he's a guy, he's supposed to be outside. If the vehicle needs to wash, I have no problem with washing the vehicle. If he has to cook,
No problem.
no, cook a meal.
Uh-huh.
It's just that things need to be done, and
Mm.
once it gets done, it gets done. It's not your job or my job, it's our job to get it done.
Um, I mean, that sounds awesome. What I'm trying to get at, how did you get there? I mean, because this is a challenge a lot of
Couples.
couples have, that the guy feels, well, I bring home the money, and when I get home,
Not even he
food,
bring home the money, he's the man.
yeah, I'm the man, food's on the table, you got to make sure the kids do their homework. How did you get to that understanding of, let's help each other I mean, you don't need to go into the, but have you had any challenges before you got into this? Do you have to talk about it, before you got
It
to
was
this?
it was a natural understanding.
I see,
Really?
I
Really?
see that's a smiling. I mean, you're trying to say from day one, you guys got in, and this was just
I think
understood.
it became natural because we've always been a couple to have discussions. we
Okay.
we we spoke about everything. We spoke about things that we expected, things that we didn't like, things that we liked, things that we wanted, and what we didn't want from earlier. We even before we got married. So as we got into the
Mhm.
marriage itself, it just became natural to get this stuff done because I already knew, okay, he may like this, he doesn't like this. So, and I was telling him out, but there are things that he doesn't like to do. He ain't folding up clothes.
I
So
don't
no
like
matter what I
it.
do under this earth, the clothes will not get folded up by Darren because he does not like to do it, and I have given up on that. So there are some things that naturally that hey,
I'll wash, but I don't like folding.
and it just makes no sense to fight about it if you already know what the person likes or what the person is going to do.
And especially how there are a lot of little pieces of clothes from the little ones. No, I don't like it. No, I don't.
But there is something you said there that is so interesting, in that you recognize that he don't like folding up clothes, and I think he recognized that you're not a morning person, and
Mm-hmm.
you've agreed to compromise in areas where one is not strong and the other is fine, because it's a give and take. And I love that, because you could keep trying to
Um,
fight Darren to fold up clothes, and you find yourself fighting a battle that you really didn't need to. I'm sure there's times that he probably see you sick kind of clothes that he probably would do it, but it's not that he's naturally going to do it. Or similarly, he could fight you to get up early and make breakfast no matter what, and I'm sure you're just going to end up in some battles, and it's not,
Hmm.
it's you found a way to make it work, and I really like that. Let's move on to the next question, John.
okay.
So, can you suggest ways to our viewers how to overcome common challenges? So, we talk about balancing work and family, and you guys talk about the ways of you communicating. So, you suggest ways, things that you have worked, that you have tried that worked, that maybe someone who is listening and viewing can even try, because we have persons who might be still trying to figure out, how can I make this work for me?
Um, when it comes to our family, um, even with our boys, we are a family of communication. So we have spoken to our boys from early on about the things that we expect from them and what we don't expect from them. So it kind of makes life a little bit easier for us because they know what to do and when to do it and how to do it. So it's not like we're not spinning top in mud all the time. They are children, so they are going to do some of the silly children things,
Yep.
but most of the times it's good. And that communication with your kids really works out for the best for you. Letting them know what you expect and what you don't expect is a great idea from even from young.
And
Mm-hmm.
no matter what they do, always try to let them tell the truth, no matter what. So even though it might get them in trouble, always tell us what is the truth and what is going on with you, so we could have that kind of a communication between us. So children, the children wouldn't be, like, I wonder how I could tell mommy this or I could tell daddy this. No,
Mm.
we should be able to talk things through and get it over with.
Okay. I think you actually kind of jumped in into the second the other question, which actually asks how important is communication in accomplishing a healthy balance in the home. And you actually talked about how healthy it is, how talking with each other, talking with the children, how it has helped you guys to accomplish so much because you have kept that bond in terms of talking it out. And for those watching, you can see that the more you talk, the better it is for your relationship. I know sometimes we struggle in terms of how we should talk with each other, but it's so important that you have these deep discussion, be vulnerable with each other. That way, you can overcome certain obstacles in the relationship because you have common grounds, commonality. You're aware of what is my likes, my dislikes. I am aware of your likes, dislikes. So that way, it makes it easier for us to propel during the relationship. Because many times these problems occur because we don't talk, so we're left wondering and assuming, and then we have all these hiccups taking place. So based on that, I think we could skip to the other question because you
But
guys
before
have.
you skip on, Charlene, I also wanted to add in when you spoke about things to help, is that one of the things that we did with our kids too is to give them a bedtime.
Mhm.
And that bedtime, people say bedtime is for kids. It's not for them. The bedtime is because we had enough of them for the day. I know that's
and
terrible of us
and
to
not only
say,
that.
but as as humans, sometimes you need to bring it down. And kids are always on a go. So we put them in bed, whether it's Monday, Sunday, Friday, holiday, it doesn't matter. You could be in Jamaica, you have a bedtime, going to bed. Why? Because at some point in time as parents,
We need to communicate with
we
each other.
need to start to forget about you. You're in your bed, you're in your room, and let's now get back to us and make this time, that time before we go to bed, the calming time where we can communicate with each other, where we can just be with each other and understand, hey, this is our time. This is not speedy time. If I'm now going and have dinner with my husband or something, just our time. So we get rid of them in a nice way.
So that we could communicate.
Actually brought up something there that you talk about that I've always tried to encourage couples is in terms of how the importance of us,
Mhm.
because if we are practicing Christians, we understand the first thing God did was created marriage. Children were a bonus factor. So the
Definitely.
couple is first and foremost, and children are also a blessing, but they also borrowed. So after they become adults, they leave, they move on,
Mhm.
and they cleave to someone else. What happens when you're both left with each other with an emptiness syndrome and you can't communicate because you thought God told you to dedicate your whole life to your children, but they have moved on. So what happened to the relationship that God has blessed you with? So you're
Yep.
actually telling persons and even reminding persons who are listening, you love your children, that's fine, but you see a spouse, that's who God gave to you first. That's who you're supposed to make a priority, because when the children leave the home, this will be destroyed.
Because if you don't have that communication, then when the children are around, when the children leave, you won't have any. You want to know how to go about communicating now, and you wouldn't be able to do it. So,
Oh, hi Jeffrey, thanks for joining us. Hope you're enjoying our energy this evening, as we discuss about parenting and family and marriage
mhm,
and career.
mhm.
So yeah, so I think we're almost wrapping it up. We're moving faster than we thought. Yeah, so
Yay.
if we have any extra questions, we could throw it in. But our next question is, most importantly, how does God fit into managing your work life and home life?
Get up first thing, pray on mornings. Make sure have that time with you and God. Because if you don't bond with God, I will be able to bond with your family. So you have to bond with God in order to bond with your family, and you'll be able to manage the days work ahead and go from there.
For me, I think he is the most important thing in your work and home life. He is the kind of glue that joins all of those pieces together. Without him, everything just starts to seem like chaos. Everything starts to seem like it's taking over. Once you start to bring him in and you let him take control of everything, somehow it just meddles out, and everything just seems to fall in place. But as humans, sometimes we need a little nudge to make sure that we remember.
Mm-hmm.
So there are times that things are going to go wrong, just to help you to remember that, hey,
Yeah.
you're missing something. The glue falling apart, the glue not sticking anymore. You might need to add some more. So it's just to continue building that relationship with him, to help you build the relationship with your spouse, to build the relationship with your children, and to build the relationship with your work colleagues.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. You have anything you want to say, Josh? You want to add anything to that?
No, I mean, I just love the fact that there's two things I really got that I was very impressed with. The idea of the communication that took place even at an earlier stage, so that even within a what you call an organized chaos, you just realize there's things that needs to be done, and we need to support us. And I would say that organized chaos can't work if you're not talking,
Mm-hmm.
because it would mean somebody was supposed to pick up the kids and somebody thought that
That won't happen.
he's gonna do it or she's gonna do it, and it just didn't happen. And then you're kind of
Children get
eating
left
at
in
each
school.
other,
No,
No.
that won't happen.
right? So that, and that's what I'm saying. So you could tell that there's a constant communication that is taking place, which is excellent. And I love the insight in terms of having let the kids have a bedtime, because some persons would just leave it to whenever they're tired, so they then sleep all day when you are
Mm-hmm.
running around, so on, and then they're up all night, and then
When you
you
are tired,
can't
yeah.
sleep. When you're now tired, they're totally up. So I really love the advice in terms of giving the kids a bedtime, so that you could find time for each other more than anything else. So I think that's just some insight that was very just useful for us. um, we had some Bible texts that we always want to try to share as much as possible, and we just want to share those with some of our viewers just before we close. Proverbs 23:4 says, "Don't wear yourself out trying to get rich. Be wise enough to know when to quit." Be wise to know when to quit. Charlene, what about Psalms 127:2?
It is useless for you to work so hard from early morning until late at night, anxiously working for food to eat, for God gives rest to his loved one. So don't exhaust yourself trying to accomplish all in the world when you still have family and God to deal with. So he wanted to spend more time focused on him, resting in him, so that way he will take care of all the other needs.
Yeah. And our last scripture text we wanted to share under this topic in terms of just balancing work and parenting. Don't love money. Be satisfied with what you have, for God has said, "I will never fail you. I will never abandon you." Hebrews chapter 15, verse.
Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5.
13:55.
13:55.
Yes, put it on,
He
put
was
it on.
close. He was close. He was close.
Hebrews
Come on.
chapter 13,
Verse 5.
verse 5.
Yes.
Right? So just to recap, one of the things that we said here, what are some of the common challenges faced by working parenting? I mean, from what I gathered, sometimes they're just eating out of the house. They're all at home right now.
Mhm.
You really just got to try and see how we could communicate and share with that. I love the advice in terms of just sometimes the daily routine is just about communicating, making sure things just get done. And once you're able to do that, it really is able to make sense out of it. Just before we close, is there any final thought that you would want to share for anyone that is listening right now? They're trying to balance work and parenting. What would be any final advice you'd want to share with anyone, David's family?
I will say always try to remember to spend time with each other, even if you have children. Try to fit in your time within the day, even though if it's for 5 minutes, to communicate with each other and let each other know where the love is and try to keep the love going.
You see here for
I I just want to add in something that Darren continuously tells me, babe, because even though I say organized chaos, I'm a planner. So I like to plan everything. And I literally mean everything. I will plan everything. Um, so he continuously tells me all the time, be spontaneous, just let things happen. And I know as parents and spouses, sometimes we think that, we need to make sure that everything fits into its righteous place and, it has to go this certain way or it doesn't work out. Let things happen. If you have God in your relationship and if you have good communication, it will work out for the best. Don't try to control everything. Let it flow.
All right. I can't think of a better way to close that.
yeah.
Let it flow, Charlie.
Let it flow. Let it flow.
Just remind our viewers if they want to connect with us and to ensure that they could get more content like this. What's the best way for them to connect with us?
Well, for all those who are watching, you can continue viewing us on your YouTube channel, Vivid Resolutions, where you can subscribe, click the like, subscribe button so you can view more of our videos. You can even view our past videos. You can also view us on Facebook, Vivid Resolutions as well. And you can see all our videos and you can even keep in touch in terms of when we run our live every Thursdays at 8 p.m. And we also have the website, www.vividresolutions.com, where you can even keep in touch with us. If you have any questions, any concerns, you need any professional help, you can reach out to us and we can work with you. So thank you for joining us this evening. Have a blessed evening. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
David's family, for joining us.
You're
You're
welcome,
welcome.
Stuart family.
All right, bye bye.